Hey everyone, welcome back to the Reignited podcast. I'm your host, Jen, and today we have our lovely friend, Debbie Navedo, rejoining us on the podcast today. We are doing a Mom Life 2.0 episode where we're chatting about all things mom life. So I'm very excited to reintroduce Debbie to the podcast. Well, welcome, Debbie. Welcome, Sam. I'm so excited that we have Debbie back on the podcast for a fun episode today. We're going to do hashtag Mom Life 2.0, where we're going to share about some of our most recent experiences as moms, the good, the bad, the hilarious, just like our first one, but even better. So
Yeah.
we're going to start off and we're going to let you kick it off, Debbie, and kind of talk about some of your funniest experiences. You could talk about recent ones or just maybe some that recently stood out to you. Um,
Yeah.
Actually share a little bit about like your mom journey really quickly and
Yeah.
tell us like how old your kids are. That
Sure.
would be awesome.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me back. I'm so excited to
Yeah.
be back with you guys. So
Course.
as you girls know, I have two kids. I have a 7-year-old boy. He'll be 8 this August, and I have a 3-year-old girl. She'll be 4 in October. I currently have my niece also living with me, so we have a bonus child, and she's 13, going on
Oh,
14. So we've got some fun ages going on in our house. So I would say in my house, it is never boring because there's always something happening with these kids. Like my niece, she's pretty calm. She's a really good preteen, which is surprising because I was awful, but she's amazing. But my kids, oh my gosh, like my mom wasn't kidding when she said they were going to be like me, but worse because they are just so busy, like so busy all the time. My 3-year-old Eliana, she, for instance, like the other day, I was trying to get her to clean her room because we were going to go to grandma's house. And grandma lives like 3 hours away. So I was like, I want to come back home to a clean house, a clean room. You need to help me clean your room. And she was like, but mommy, it's my beautiful mess. Like so. And I was like, no, it's messy and it's not safe. We have to clean it. And she was like, but mommy, I don't want to clean it. So I called grandma just for like some encouragement. And I was like, Grandma, can you tell Eliana that we need to clean her room before we go to your house? And, just kind of help me out here. And so her grandma, my husband's mom, was like, Eliana, you need to clean your room before you come to my house because you can't leave your room messy or all the bugs are going to get inside. And so she looks at me with a straight face and she was like, you clean it. And then just walked out. I was
oh no.
but you know what?
Don't
I cleaned it. I did.
D- you know what? I think we do that as moms, though. Like, one thing that I noticed for me too is like sometimes if my kid is not going to do what we're, like when they're younger, sometimes you go through that, right? Where it's a struggle. It's like the struggle bus, or they start getting those their own little personalities and they
Oh yeah.
start, like really testing you. And
Mhm.
it's just funny because as moms, you're just like, oh, forget it. I'll just do it. I want it done. We got to go. Like, I don't have time for this. So you just do it, and
Yeah.
sometimes we do have to let go. But man, when you're in those moments, you just want to get it done and just get to where you need to go, right? So
And I think
that's so
like
funny.
one of the hardest things is like they're so cute. So
They
when they
are.
do stuff like
That's
that,
the problem.
I
Yeah.
know, but like
Hmm.
it gets me every time because she's so cute and like her face, it's hilarious, like if she was much older, I feel like I would never tolerate that. But you just don't expect it. So when it happens, you're like, what? Like, what just happened?
Right.
You
It
know?
catches you off guard. Right. It catches you off
Yeah,
guard. And
for
I
sure.
think those are some of the fun, like the most fun moments, though, are the moments where you don't expect your kid to say something and
Oh,
they
totally.
do. And there's times too where I want to, like be stern and have like that face, like, okay, this is serious. And I
Yeah.
can't. I have to
Mhm.
like turn my face and I got to laugh a little bit. And then I'm like, okay, back to business. But it
Yeah.
is hard when when they have their like cute little faces and
I know.
it makes it
They're so
really difficult.
they're so sweet and sour.
I know they're Sour
Yeah.
Patch Kids. They're literally Sour Patch Kids. That used to be my daughter's nickname when she was a baby, because
Mhm.
my husband gave it to her. Because man, she would be like kind of mean, and she'd like throw a
Oh.
toy, and she'd have like this little like mean look on her face, and she was so
Oh.
chunky. Like, oh, if I have a clip, I'll insert a clip. But oh my gosh, she was just like, but she always had this like mean mug like on her face.
Yeah.
But then she would be like so sweet, like, or with her brothers, like she would pull their hair or something, or grab them, or grab their
Yeah.
shirt. And then afterwards, she'd hug them and like pat them. And
Oh, that's
she was
Eliana.
definitely a Sour Patch Kid.
Oh my god, that is Eliana 100%. She is a little Sour Patch princess. Like she'll hit her brother, and I have stories for days when it comes to Eliana. The other day, my son comes in, Kenyel, and he was crying. And I
Mhm.
know Kenyel when he is not telling 100% the truth and when he's sincere. So he comes in and he's crying like real tears. He's hurt and he's
Aw.
like, "Mommy, Eliana hit me." And so I asked her, I said, "Eliana, is that true? Did you hit Kenya?" And she's like, "No," but like with a smile. Like, she was lying. I was like, "Eliana, you better not be lying to me. Did you hit your brother?" She's like, "No, mommy," but still smiling. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Okay, you come over here on timeout right now." And she's like, "No, no," like so dramatic. And I
Oh
said,
man.
Eliana, if you don't tell me the truth, you're gonna be on timeout. Did you hit your brother? She's like, "Yes, mama. Yes." I knew
The
it.
drama.
Oh, she's so dramatic. And those 3 minutes that she was on timeout, you would have thought that I like threw her across the room. She was so like in despair. Like she was just so upset and crying like that hurt cry. And
Yeah.
every once in a while she'd be like, "Mom, I'm hungry. I'm so hungry." Like if I'm
It's
starving her.
3 minutes.
Like I threw her in a dungeon for like 3 days.
Well, that's just so funny because so for me, I had 3 boys first, and I always wanted a daughter, but I never thought it was gonna happen for me until it happened,
Yeah.
and God blessed me with a daughter, and I finally got her after so many years.
Yeah.
But it's like night and day. I'm still adjusting. I say this all the time, but I'm still adjusting to having a daughter because with
Mhm.
my boys, like, they're so nonchalant and they're like, jumping off couches and just super crazy boys. They're just typical
Yeah.
boys, and nothing phased them. Like if they get in trouble, it's like, oh, okay, whatever. Timeout. Oh, okay, whatever. But my
Mhm.
daughter, it's the same way. She's so dramatic, like
Yeah.
overly dramatic. Like I
Mhm.
could just say like, no, that wasn't very nice, and she's like, oh my goodness, like crying, like I did something terrible to her. And I'm like, girl, I just said no. Like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you?
I don't know if your kids do this, but I don't know. Maybe I'm oversharing, but so my son, he was always just not your typical boy. Like he was very gentle and very calm and collected, and he didn't like messes. And when he played, he cleaned up after himself or whatever. Now, like he is just, I mean, he's still kind of that way to a certain extent, but he's just funny. He's just a funny, witty kid. But for some reason, like he didn't even get in trouble a lot when he was growing up. But for some reason, like every single time, if I'm talking to him and I move too fast, he's like, and I'm like, "What? Like, did you think I was gonna hit you?" And he's like, "Yeah, mom. I thought you were gonna hit me." And I was like, "I've literally never done that to you before. Like, why are you acting like I beat you?" And I have to tell him, "You need to work on that because that's gonna make me look really bad in public. Like me just passing by my kid and, oh hey, can like
Yeah.
crazy. But he really just didn't get in trouble. So I'm like, where do you even get that from? Like, where is that response coming from? I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
Well,
I
I
should
think that just I
rewind.
think it comes with like every kid because every one of my kids were so different. Um like my oldest was really sweet and he was the same way, just gentle and such a good big brother.
He still is.
He is
Oh,
still that way and very patient and kind and respectful like.
Mhm.
And then my son Jaden, my second son, came along and he was like my troublemaker. He's always doing crazy stuff. Like I mentioned in the first Mom Life episode, he was very into drawing and markers and creativity, and he just loved that. But it was always on his own body. He was always coloring on himself,
yeah.
like literally head to toe. And he was just always getting into trouble. And then when my third son came along, oh my gosh, it was just like a whole nother, like on
Oh,
a whole
Jordan.
nother level. My
Oh,
JoJo is just like always so full of energy and just like he was the one jumping off couches and climbing like the sides of the staircases, like all the way to the top, like get literally giving me a heart attack. Um,
oh,
but it's just you get
gosh.
to see each kid is just so different and they have their own personalities and their own little triggers and things that get them and it's just so cool to see. But yeah, I mean that's totally normal because each kid just have their own responses to things, so I don't think that's like abnormal at all. I think like it's something
Yeah.
normal with most kids and even with boys because they can be kind of complicated. I mean, girls are
Mhm.
definitely more emotional, but boys can definitely be more complicated and
Yes.
Mhm.
man, they can have their little like quirks too. And Sam, you could speak on that too because you have finally your own little boy, and
Yay.
yeah,
He's
and he's
crazy. He is
he's so
crazy.
friend.
He is he's great. Like some days I'm like, well, I know I want another baby, but some days I'm like,
Yeah.
do I? And other days I'm like, yeah. And then some days when he's bad, I'm like, no. I'm like, maybe, I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, he is just one ball of sass and personality mixed into one child. He
Oh,
is hilarious. He is a funny child. Like, he reminds me of myself, my dad. Going off of what you were saying about your daughter, Debbie,
yeah.
it was Easter this year. And I told Jonathan, I said, you need to clean up your toys because we were going to my grandma's house, and I said you need to clean up your toys, otherwise we're not having an Easter egg hunt. And he's like, mommy, Jonathan is tired and does not want to clean up his toys. I'm like, well, Jonathan's not gonna go have an Easter egg hunt now because Jonathan's too tired. But he's like still stuck on this like third person thing. And then he has, Jen can vouch for this, Jonathan is obsessed with
Oh,
trains, like
Yes.
obsessed. He has an entire train table. This boy, I mean, I have got like
yeah.
tons of trains from people for him. And I'll tell him like you need to clean up before you could do something else. And all he does is like throw them
Yeah.
in the room. And I'm like, no, Jonathan, put them away. He's like, no, you do it. And then I'm like, well, now I feel like I need to do it. And then somebody on Facebook Marketplace had a timeout chair. I'm like, this is perfect. I had one when I was little. No, he doesn't care. He pulls it up to the table and he's like, I sit in my chair and eat and watch TV. I'm like, well, I guess you're just gonna keep going in your room then. And he melts down too. Like honestly, like he'll throw his shoes, like he'll freak out. Like I
Yeah.
literally, and he's like, I want milk. And I'm like, you've been in there for 35 seconds. You're fine.
Oh,
It's that drama factor, like because they don't have any concept of time. So for them, like even 30 seconds feels like an eternity.
yeah.
And that's so funny. Well, like it just reminded me, Sam, when you were talking about like putting him in timeout or putting him in his room. Oh man. I do and Sam, you can probably remember this, but when Jaden, my second son, he was probably, I want to say 4 or 5 years old ish, maybe. Um, I was at work, and at the time I was working outside of the home, so I had to commute. So my husband was home and had picked him up from school, and I don't know what happened. Like he got in trouble for something. And I come home and Andy, my husband, tells me, he's like, "Oh, Jaden's in his room. He's in trouble." And I'm like, "Uh-oh." So I go, I go into his bedroom, and the door's closed, and there's a little piece of paper with a sign. He drew a little sign, and it said, "I love," with LUV, "you mom. I hat you, dad." HAT is his
I remember
name.
that.
It was the funniest thing. I couldn't help but laugh, you know? And I'm like, "What happened? Like, what did you do?" And I don't remember what happened. It was so many years ago, but it was just so funny, like, what he ended up doing, and, like, the fact that he made, like, a little sign.
Okay, so Jonathan thinks, I don't know where he got this from. So every night he was starting to
I
make an
wonder.
excuse of, it wasn't me, of why he can't sleep in his room. He's like, "Mommy, there's a spider." I'm like, "There's no spider. And if there is, Daddy will kill it because Mommy won't." And then he's like, "Mommy, there's a ghost train." I'm like, "Baby, there's no such thing as ghost trains." Okay. And then he's like, "Mommy, there's a monster." I'm like, "Jonathan, there's no monster in your room either." So then he's like freaking out, like screaming, crying, like, "I'm so scared. I'm so scared of the monster. There's no monsters in Mommy's bed." And I'm like, "Well, your dad sleeps in there. So yeah, technically there is a monster in there and he snores." So this kept going on and on and on to the point that like he genuinely thought he had a monster in his room. This was all within the past couple of days. That's probably why I haven't even told you yet, Jen. So I forgot.
Yeah, you just told me you told me. You just said you told me.
Maybe I
You're
did.
making up stories now.
Did I send you the video of Papa getting the monster out of his room?
No, you didn't.
Oh, then I didn't tell you about it. I'm sorry.
Exactly.
I think I just lost track of my days.
Storyteller over here. Okay, yeah. Making me
So
feel bad.
I was at work and I took like one of the biohazard bags from our lab and I'm like, this is going to come in handy tonight. And then one of my coworkers was like, you should put his trains like around his room to protect him from the monsters. I'm like, okay, good idea. We'll see what we could do. Well, I remember somebody gave him this ugly monster stuffed animal, ugly but cute. Like I don't know. I think he's ugly but cute. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to use this to my advantage. So I took the monster and I put him in the window. So I told, for those of you that don't know, and Debbie, my stepdad lives with us. So he's Papa. Mm-hmm. So I said, "Papa, you need to save the day." I said, "You're going to get the monster out of Jonathan's room because I need my space back." So he walks in there with his little CB radio and he calls it a monster finder. I have a quick little Snapchat of it. And he's like, "Oh, I found the monster. Put it in the bag. Put it in the bag." So then we put the trains up. He's like, "Oh, the monster's gone." He's like, "Papa, you saved me. The monster's gone." So then last night he's in my bed again. And Papa's like, "Jonathan, if you don't go to your bed, I'm putting the monster in Mommy's room." So now this kid really thinks that there's a monster again. I'm like, I can't with this monster anymore. I'm so tired. Like he just makes up lies all the time because he just wants to be
sleep in your bed. Yeah.
I can't do it anymore. I'm like, child.
That's hard.
Have you guys ever seen those TikTok videos of the kids like saying the same thing, but it ends up being like the Ring camera that they're like getting hacked? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yes. And they're like, didn't that happen to you, Sam?
It did.
With the baby?
It did. So
oh my God.
So when this was probably Jonathan was still in his crib. He was about 2, I want to say. And so we have the regular baby monitor in there, and then we had the Owlet. And the Owlet is a Wi-Fi monitor, and he would wake up screaming and crying like at the same time every single night. And he would point to the camera, and he couldn't really verbalize then what was going on, but he would freak out. And I'm like, "Are people talking?" And he would cry. So I literally was done. Like I unplugged it and I put it away. I was like, nope, because it was happening the same time, the same minute every single night, and it was always like exactly 2 o'clock in the morning, and it went on for a couple nights until I was like, you know what, no, I'm done. The minute that I unplugged it and put it away, it never happened again.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's insane. Like I don't understand like how does someone just think, "Oh, it's going to be fun to torture a child?"
Mm-mm.
You know? Like
Right.
that's crazy.
It is
We've
Yeah,
crazy and it's
it was
scary.
scary.
Yeah, we've never had like any of those cameras in the rooms. What I've done is we have like a camera in, I don't know what you call it, I guess like the little common area of the upstairs area, and I have it facing my kids' room, so that way I can, you know, see both of them. If I ever need to monitor them, I can do so from my phone. But I don't like putting cameras in their room because of that, because I had heard so much about it, and it's just crazy that this really happens to kids every day,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
it
And
does.
then like new moms like you, Sam, like I'm sure like that had to have been
Hmm.
terrifying. That's your first baby.
Oh yeah, I had called Jen the next day after I realized what was going on, and I was
Wow.
freaked out. So now, I just have like I still have the regular camera in his room, and I just have the regular baby monitor that has to
Mhm.
be plugged in, that has the battery in it, because I'm
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
no, like I can't do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no
it's
way.
crazy too because what they're doing, at least from what I know, like what I've heard, is that they're hacking into your Wi-Fi and that's how
Mhm.
they're able to tap into your camera. So for me, I'm such a weirdo like about it. Like I'm such a freak about it because we have Comcast, but I have like the extra security layers on there. There's been a couple times where people have tried to tap into our Wi-Fi and they can't because I immediately get an alert and it gets shut down. So for me, luckily, I have not experienced that. I have one camera and that's it is in my daughter's room. It like faces like her bed and her door so I can see like if she's like sneaking out or she's in her
Yeah.
bed or she's out of her bed, even though her room is right next to me so I can literally hear her door open. Um
Yes.
but I just like to be able to see her, you know.
Me too.
But we haven't had that issue. But when she was a baby, I never used the Wi-Fi cameras. I always used like the old
Mm-mm.
school baby monitors or the cameras that connect directly, like where you have the actual monitor where you carry it
Mhm.
around and you could see the baby for
Yeah.
that reason. But yeah, it's like a really common thing and it's scary.
Yep.
These poor
I
kids, they
know.
get like, I mean, that's terrifying, you know?
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
It's the same thing like even with like YouTube videos and stuff. My son,
Yeah.
he had night terrors for months, months and months and months. And at first like I did think that he was lying just to sleep in my bed. But then it got to the point where like he started saying some really creepy things, and like there was one time, and this was more recent. This was like just over a year ago, I would say, when we lived in Kentucky. And my son, he just wouldn't sleep in his room. And I said, when we move to our new house, you need to sleep in your own room because this bed, like, we have a big bed, but we can't be sleeping mom, dad, Eliana, Kenyelle. Then the dogs want to come. Like, we had to kick everyone out. And I was
Right.
telling him, like, you need to sleep in your own room. And he started saying, like, the weirdest things about how he thought the devil was trying to get him.
Oh my
And then he
goodness.
had,
Mm-mm.
yeah. And then he had even said, because he was watching, what was it? It was, gosh, I don't remember. It was one of those games. Like, it's the videos of people playing games. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Minecraft
Mhm.
Yeah.
or whatever, Roblox. So it was
Yeah.
one of those video channels that he used to watch all the time. Mind you, he was only about 6 years old. And I just didn't know the dangers of that. I thought, you know, he's watching TV, like he's calm, whatever. And he started telling me that he had seen a video, one of those videos, that they had told him, oh, okay, I'm sorry, rewind. He was saying he thought the devil was going to get him. So he, for some reason, thought that one day he was going to be able to see the devil fight God. Yeah, it was
What?
really weird. He said he thought he was
Wow.
going to see the devil fight God. And I said, "Well, why do you think that?" And he was like, "Well, because I saw it." I was trying to get more information from him and I was like, "Well,
Yeah.
what did you see?" And he was like, "Well, I saw in a video that the devil is good and I want to be able to see him fight God because he's so strong." And then he started talking more about how like he essentially in like little kid words, he was saying that like he was fearful of the devil because of how strong he was. So he thought the devil was going to get him, but he also thought that
Oh,
the devil was more,
jeez.
yeah, he thought the devil was more powerful than God. And I was like, "But why would you think that?" And he said, "Well, the video I watched said that if I follow the devil, then he'll protect me."
Oh
And I
my
was like,
goodness.
"What?"
Mhm.
So ever
Mm-mm.
since that day, he has not been allowed to watch YouTube. And he's going to be 8 now. So it's been almost 2 years. But we just can't because like
Yeah.
you just don't know, like there's people literally targeting our children
Yeah.
and we just have to be like extra cautious. Like we can't have cameras anymore. We can't watch
I
YouTube. Like
know.
I used
I
to
know.
always watch YouTube growing up and I never came across those kinds of things, but my son's first year, me letting him watch YouTube, and this is what he's being taught. Like, I can't even imagine what told him that. You know what I mean? It's
Oh
so
God, I
Yeah.
don't even
It's
want to think
scary.
about it.
Like you have to see, for me too, I had to learn the hard way with certain YouTube videos because throughout the years when my boys were younger, it was still fairly new with the videos where the kids were watching the YouTube videos, and it kind of was straying away from just like vlogging and like stuff that we would watch, family
Right.
vloggers or whatever. And it was like, yeah, watching people play video games is like super popular. You don't really think much of it. You think it's pretty innocent unless you actually watch, like even just for a couple of, minutes, what they're
Yeah.
actually watching on YouTube. And I was like, mm-mm. So I
Hmm.
started having to like put parental controls on everything. So
Yeah.
I have access to all of their tablets. I have access, even for like the Wi-Fi, they get paused at a certain time every night. Even my older boys, like my oldest is 16, which is crazy. I don't feel like I'm old enough to have a 16-year-old. But
You don't look old enough to have a 16-year-old.
thank you.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
still
turned
crazy.
I just turned 36, so I'm not like super old or anything, but we started really young. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like even him, like I'm like, okay, I'm pausing you. It's 10 o'clock. You have work tomorrow, like even though
Me
it's on a weeknight
too.
or on a weekend, you're getting paused. So I think that's really it's important for parents to do that, to really monitor what your kids are doing, what they're watching.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
there has to be a good balance where you're trusting them to an extent, depending on how old they are, as well. You give
Right.
them a little bit of leeway, but you also, as a parent, you have to protect your kids. And yeah, there's like some
Oh, yeah.
scary stuff out there. It is not the way that it was when we were younger. Things are like the
Not
world
at
is a
all.
lot scarier, and it's a lot
Yep.
easier for people to get to our kids. And I
Yeah.
mean, I don't wanna go down a rabbit hole or anything, but look at, like, stuff that's coming out, like, in Target right now. This is a huge thing, like,
Mhm.
the satanic symbols and, like,
I
the
know.
things that are
Yeah.
getting pushed out, like Satan, approves of pronouns, or Satan does this, or say like,
Yeah.
what is happening? Like, now it's like it's just really out in the open. So, as
That's
parents,
the
yeah, like, you
scariest
have to
thing to
protect your
me.
kids, and you have to do what you need to do, but
Yeah.
Even with
and
the younger
unfortunately, that
ones,
means
like,
cutting them off.
yep.
Yeah.
I put parental controls on all, like, Jonathan goes on YouTube, but he goes on YouTube Kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, so does Jossie. So she has her tablet, and I'm able to control every app that it goes on that tablet.
Me
I'm
too.
able to control like the YouTube videos because it does have YouTube. You can completely eliminate it, but it goes by her age range. But
Yep.
even then, I still check it. I still go on and I still see what's
Mhm.
available, and I will still remove certain things if I think it's inappropriate or I don't think like it's gonna do
Mhm.
her any good, like, especially ones that aren't super educational. I just
Right.
eliminate because it's like
Yep.
it's mindless. It's just mindless things that they're doing. It's not helping them in any way. And
Exactly.
yeah, it causes like different like obsessions with these games, like
No,
with our
there's
kids. And so yeah, you have to cut them off, or you have to really monitor what they're watching, what they're
Yep.
viewing, what they're listening to. And you
Mhm.
can't be there every second of every day, but you
Yeah.
can do the best you can while you have your kids in your home. And so for
Mhm.
me, some parents think I'm like way overprotective, but
Me
I'm
too.
like, no, I need to be. These are my children. I need to make sure that,
Mhm.
I'm protecting them as much as I can. That's my job as a mom.
No one
So,
else is going to do it for you. And that's
right.
ultimately what it comes down to. And I'm the same way. Like, I've heard, like some people, I wouldn't say like anyone's been mean about it, but, they do tell me sometimes that, like, I need to let go and just let them be a little more independent. But to me, at
Mm-mm.
6, 7, 8 years old, like, that's still really little, you
Yeah.
know? Like, I
Right.
understand once they hit preteen, but even then, like, we need to be very careful because
Yes.
the things that kids at that age can be exposed to, I mean, they could really go down a very dangerous path if we're not
Yeah.
monitoring them, but also like talking about certain things, right? Like, we don't want to shield them from the world because one day they're going to be exposed to like drugs and sex and
Right.
like things like that. So like we don't want to act like it doesn't exist, but we also don't want to make it like super easy where they can just go and like look for it either, right? So
Right.
I feel like I don't think I'm overprotective. I think I'm just the right amount of protective, and I'm okay with that. My kids they're happy, they're healthy, thank God, and we still have fun. And
Yeah.
I don't hide anything from my kids. Like when it comes to the YouTube thing, you're right. They can become obsessed with that. And my
Mhm.
son was becoming obsessed to the point that he was crying. If he couldn't watch YouTube, he would cry. And I'm
Yeah.
like, we have Netflix
Jeez.
and Disney, we have cable, we have all sorts of movies, we have games, we have outside. Like, we have so much for you to do. But if he couldn't watch YouTube, if the internet was down, or once I took it away, it was obsessive. And I told him straight up, like, this is how I know this is a problem. Because if you are crying this bad about it, like if you got hurt, like if you're dying, that's not okay. That's not a good
Yeah.
thing, you know? So needless to say, we've been pretty happy without it in our household because after that one incident, I was like, that's enough. I always do this.
Like I said, like I always say, girls got to eat. Girl, I was eating pizza before. I will probably have another piece because it was like 2 hours ago, and I ate so fast. And hopefully there's still pizza up there. They might have eaten it all. I don't
I'm
know.
so sorry. I've been trying to like get somebody to let this dog in the house.
Yeah, nobody
You know what?
listens.
You know what's kind of
Listen,
funny though? If Jen, when you're looking at it, if you look, you see Wrigley in the background.
I know. I see her
She
like
sat
walking
down.
around. I can
here.
see her. Yeah, I can see her. It's funny. Like
I
you see her
swear.
butt and her tail like walking past. Kids and pets too. That's like a huge thing. Oh my god,
Oh God.
I love like the relationship that my kids have always had with our pets throughout the years. It's so
Mhm.
funny. Like I've had right now I have smaller dogs. So I have a mini dachshund. He's like the hot dog. He's a hot dog.
Love him.
And then I
And
have
Maddie.
uh, yeah, Maddie boy who escaped today, by the way.
Yeah, he's
He
a bad
escaped through our
boy.
fence and ended up with a lady, a super nice lady that lives on the next block. She got him, was it I think it was the year before last, the last time he got out of the yard, and he went to her house, and then he found her. She just happened to be walking on our street with her grandson, and my
Oh,
dog Maddox, we call him Maddie for short, he just runs up to her. He ran to her. And then I see his face plastered on our neighborhood Facebook page, and I was so embarrassed. My neighbor calls me. She's like, "Jen, I'm pretty sure Maddie got out." I'm like, "I know. I saw his face on our neighborhood Facebook page."
You
that's
know
But
what?
it's
I just
so
thought of
funny.
number one, Maddie and Wrigley are like they're only a couple months apart. They're they're not very far apart in age. They're
Uh-huh.
both like the same. Like Maddie's like the grumpy old man though.
Yeah.
Reiki, I will never forget this. So we had set the alarm and I had to go to the doctor. This was during COVID. And my stepdad was with me because I had Jonathan as well. And my phone kept ringing. And it was the alarm company. And they said somebody broke into my house and that the police were on the way to my house. So I'm like freaking out. I get home. It was freaking Wrigley.
Of course.
Wrigley literally set the alarm off because she saw a squirrel.
Oh my gosh. That is like stereotype.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then she fell onto the panic button and then set off the alarm, and the cops came to my house.
Oh, all for a squirrel. Did she get the squirrel?
All for a squirrel. Probably
No,
not.
the squirrel still lives in the tree. He's crazy.
That's
The- I-
hilarious though. But these dogs are like kids. I mean, it's funny to
crazy.
see my kids with the dogs, but like I was saying, I have like Maddie, the hot dog, then I have a French bulldog, and then I have a Shih Tzu, Lola, and Lola, the Shih Tzu, and Raya, who's our French bulldog, are like besties. But Raya's like way bigger than her now, and like she's a powerhouse, and she knows how to open doors. Like when the kids are outside with them playing and they get crazy, like Raya gets the zoomies, so she'll start running around, and then she'll want to come inside for water. She'll open the door, like she
Oh my
runs and she jumps and she puts her whole body weight onto the door and it opens. And I'll be sitting on the couch and she just runs in and I'm like, excuse me, rude. Like if you're gonna open it, close it behind you, you know? And then I see the kids running in and I'm like, oh my God.
That is
But
so funny.
they're so
They're all
goofy.
crazy. They're crazy. Ricky, she knows how to open the gates in the house, and she now learned how to open our back door. So, I
I'm
mean,
surprised her and Jonathan haven't been in cahoots yet trying to escape. Like Jossie and Maddie, like when Maddie was like a puppy, her, like my daughter and Maddie, they would like be in cahoots because I had the gates, the baby gates everywhere. And don't tell me how he would help her, but he would help her like boost up her little feet. Like she would stand on his little paws and she'd get just high enough to move the latch, and she would get into the kitchen or like into places she wasn't supposed to.
Wow.
It was funny.
You
They're
know,
nuts.
so there's this dog down the street and she's not my dog, but I had never seen her before. I didn't even know my neighbors had a dog. And so this day this beautiful dog is just running on the street and I was like I have to save her. Like I feel like the dog whisperer. I have to save every dog. So I see the dog and I'm looking for like a collar, a dog tag, and she did have a collar, but it was missing the dog tag, so I guess it fell off at some point. And so we took her to the vet. We tried to see if she was microchipped and everything, and she wasn't. So I told my husband, like, I cannot drop this dog off at a shelter. One, because she looked very well loved. Like she was very well groomed. She was chunky, so you knew she was well fed. I was like,
Yeah.
she just got out of her house. We need to find her home. So I post her on the Ring app, the neighbors app, to see if anyone has claimed her. Like I'm checking on Facebook and everything. And this dog is so smart that we go for a walk outside and she's literally taking me to her house and
oh,
to the front door. I ring the doorbell and no one was there. So I was like, okay, nobody's here. I don't want to like keep coming to the same house and, what if they are home and they're just not answering? But she kept taking me back there. So every couple of hours we'd go outside. She would take me to that house. And I was like,
oh,
okay, this has got to be her house. So like a stalker, like the stalker that I am, I wait for these people to come outside and I'm just hanging out in my front yard and the dog is safe in my backyard. And I was like, as soon as I see someone come outside, I'm gonna run up to them and be like, do you have a dog? Which is what I did. And it was the cutest, most adorable old couple. And
Oh,
they were looking
oh.
for her. They were looking for her. And So I guess somebody in the neighborhood had seen that I either posted about her or that I had walked her. And so they had told them. So they were like, "Are you the girl who has our dog?" And I was like, "Yes, you're missing a dog." And they were like, "Yes." And they tell me what she looks like. So I
Oh.
go grab her. I think her name was Ginger. And I go grab her and she runs to her owners. And I was like, "Your dog is so intelligent." She kept telling me that she lived here. Like, dogs are just, it's
They're
crazy.
smart.
They're so
They
smart.
are.
They can open doors. My dog learned how to open the trash can. So now, like, we always have to take out the trash. Otherwise, she'll
Yep,
grab
she'll
it.
get into the trash.
Yeah.
I love them all. We need to have a dog party.
Oh my God,
We
yes.
do.
My
We
dream.
should.
It's literally
Um,
my dream.
my
Because we're
loves, I'm
dog
running.
ladies.
I'm running out of light.
I I do want to mention really quick because I love that you're wearing your passion and action shirt,
I
Debbie.
saw it. I
I'm
love it.
so
I love this
excited.
shit.
It looks so cute on you, by the way.
Love it.
I really love it. Thank you guys so much.
You're welcome. Well,
Oh,
we're really excited about passion and action. I know we did like a launch, we did a video kind of explaining what it is. So for our viewers today, like thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our chat. Like we love doing these types of like impromptu like mom chats where we're opening the discussion, and that's what we do here on the Reignited podcast. But if you're not already familiar, we just recently launched Passion and Action, which is Live Reignited's new mission. So, all of our ladies who are following, who've been part of the Live Reignited movement from the beginning, who are part of our free Women Reignited community, we all get together and we make a difference in our community, whether that's volunteering in our local communities. But yeah, so Passion and Action, we're really excited. We're teaming, we've teamed up with Debbie, and you can see that she's wearing her cool Passion and Action shirt. So
woo.
we'll have details in the coming months of what our collaboration is going to be. So we're partnering with different wonderful ladies to either do some type of collab or do a fundraiser. Like right now, we currently have the Mitzi Sanchez Foundation fundraiser that's still live. We still have about a week left of that. And if you haven't caught Mitzi's episode, it's pretty amazing. So go check that out.
Mhm.
But yes, we're going to be working with Debbie. We're going to do a wonderful musical collab. So that's all I'm going to share right now. And we'll have some more details in, like I said, in the coming months. So I'm really excited about that. Really excited to partner with you, Debbie. But we're going to wrap it up here today while Sam still has a little bit of light since she's outside and trying to use natural light today. But right. But thank you,
Smelting.
Debbie. Thank you so much for joining us again
Thank you,
today. We can't
Debbie.
wait for you to come on for future podcast episodes. We love having you on. You're amazing.
Thank
We
you.
had so much fun with this one. But until next time, we will see you all later. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.